Prominent Gleaner columnist on the weekend picked her to end Delroy Chuck's reign in the constituency. She speaks with me today about her candidacy and what she will do different if she's elected on September 3. This is Lead Story, the Friday edition. Welcome to Lead Story on this Friday. So Northeast St. Andrew, many people forecasting elections usually tick that one off for the JLP, but Stacy Knight says not this time. You should not do so. You'd be premature, and she's hoping that you'd be wrong because she says that she is out to end the stint, the tenure of Delroy Chuck in the constituency. He is a six-star general, but that doesn't really mean much in the politics these days. In the 2020 elections, we saw a six-star general in St. Thomas, on the eastern side, Fenton Rudyard Ignatius Ferguson, the former health minister. His time as a parliamentarian ended by a first-timer, Dr. Michelle Charles. And so there is form for a six-star general to be taken down by a woman, a candidate. And that's what Stacy Knight is hoping to do this time. There has, of course, been a woman in charge of Northeast St. Andrew before, 1993, when Carleen Curlew-Robertson ended the stint of the former industry minister, Douglas Vaz, the father of Darrell, in the constituency. And then, of course, she couldn't defend it because in 1997, Delroy Chuck won the seat and has been in charge ever since. So what do the numbers say about Northeast St. Andrew? If we come from 2007, when Chuck beat Hugh Thompson, the difference there, 2,950, that's a lot of votes. Come forward to 2011, and John Paul White, JP White, was the man on the receiving end of a beating by Delroy Chuck, 1,800 votes plus the difference between them. 2016, Chuck, Lisa Ann Edwards, 2,305 votes she couldn't find to get to him. And then in 2020, the COVID election, 3,216 votes. David Tulloh not even able to crack the 2,000 vote mark, and Chuck large and in charge of the constituency. So the tale of the tape in Northeast St. Andrew since 2007. The history of the constituency will show that, yeah, apart from that 1993 election when Carleen Curlew-Robertson won, it's been all JLP in Northeast St. Andrew controlling affairs across the two divisions, the Barbican and the Waterloo division. But we have elections because things can change, and there is no such thing as a safe seat, they say, in Jamaican politics anymore, even though if you look at the record, you see places like East Kingston and Port Royal, which you know will never vote anyway but PNP. Good evening, Stacy Knight, how are you?
Hi, good evening, George. I'm very good, thanks.
Good, good, good. All right. For the people of Northeast St. Andrew who are watching you this evening, and having watched me go through the various people who've come and failed to even threaten Delroy Chuck, they say, okay, on what basis is Stacy Knight coming forward now to do what others before who have failed to do? What will you say to them?
The time is right, and the time has come for change. People want change. We're in 2025. We have never been here before, right? And so things can happen now that have never happened before. People in this post-COVID and post-pandemic world are looking for representation that's real. The young people, the Gen Zs, and even the millennials want to know that their representative is somebody they can talk to, somebody they can influence to make change, to represent them and to do the projects that matter to them, to do the things that people want to see Jamaica reach first world status. And the constituency of St. Andrew Northeast, I think, is the prime, what would I say, incubator or test ground for that. It's an affluent constituency. It's an urban constituency. It's a mixed constituency. So although I say it's affluent, it has within it lower income, middle income, upper income. It's a constituency of people who are working people, forward-thinking people, and they're ready to see representation that listens.
I love how you describe the constituency, and of course you're quite right. So people will say, well, Northeast St. Andrew isn't bothered by the issues that bedevil many constituencies across the island. But in the same breath, there are still areas that need and demand immediate improvement. What have you identified as those areas that Mr. Chuck has been failing in, sufficient for voters to give you the chance to correct those problems?
Well, there has been absolutely no improvement in the housing stock available to residents of St. Andrew Northeastern. And I'm talking about housing stock that the state would provide. Yes? People living in the lower income areas within the constituency, some of them live in deplorable conditions. Water isn't even available to everybody, right? We're talking about
potable water not available to everybody.
Not available to everybody, exactly. Yeah, electricity not available to everybody, and the road conditions. And I'm not talking about the main roads. I'm talking about some of the lanes that people use to access their homes. We're in 2025, where a lot of these people, though they are what you'd call low income, they're driving cars now. And their cars can't drive to their homes.
Hold the point. I'm going to make you finish the point after this. This is Lead Story. Talking to Stacy Knight. She's the PNP candidate in Northeast St. Andrew. And she says she's on a mission to change history. She's on a mission to send Delroy Chuck home. Two divisions in the constituency of Northeast St. Andrew. Delroy Chuck, the defending champion, you can call him, and Stacy Knight, the woman who has come forward to end his dominance in Northeast St. Andrew and win a seat that the PNP have not won since 1993. Just to recap, the dominance of Delroy Chuck in the seat in the local government elections, where the JLP's Green Wall took a serious hit nationwide. St. Andrew Northeast stood up, Barbican and Waterloo staying true to the traditional way in which they voted in the Barbican division. Almost 1,000 votes separated the parties there. But they say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Even so, Stacy Knight still believes that there is enough in there for her to get the nod. So you were highlighting the fact that in this affluent, generally affluent constituency that many MPs would jump to get the chance to represent, there are pockets where communities are, where people are struggling. You said there are homes which did not have potable water, which would come as a surprise to many people from Northeast St. Andrew. That there were pockets where people weren't connected to the public power supply grid, and that there were road issues off the very well paved main roads. When you go into the lanes and they don't want to say hinterlands because it's not rural, but you know what I mean. You get into the belly of the communities, that there are bad roads there. So you highlight these issues to say what to constituents about your capacity to address these bread and butter issues for most people.
All right. Well, there's so many, really. But on housing, the People's National Party has a policy on housing that looks to build 50,000 homes over a 5-year period in the next term. And some of those homes will be in St. Andrew Northeastern. So my constituents who don't have adequate housing can look forward to a change. As far as the needs of the constituents, housing is just one. Education, healthcare, which are national issues, do affect St. Andrew Northeastern just like everywhere else. We have just one clinic. It's in Grandspen, the Edna Manley Clinic, right by the police station. And the constituency spans from Peters Rock in the north.
Way up in the hill.
Way up in the hill, all the way to the halfway tree clock. So everybody in that space who needs to access government health clinic would go to Grandspen Clinic. That's not enough. We need more. We also have just 3 schools, 3 primary schools, government primary schools, the New Day Primary, the Shortwood Practicing Primary, and up in the hills again, the Jacks Hill Primary School. So we need more. And the resources for these 3 primary schools is woefully inadequate. These schools are not among the best performing schools. In St. Andrew Northeastern, we should be among the best performing schools. So what I present to people, and I'm not making any promises, you know, I don't believe in politicians just making promises. What I've said to people is that we can sit down and plan. We can listen, I listen to what their needs are, and I know that apart from the CDF, Constituency Development Fund. There's access to resources because we're such a resourceful constituency, yes? And so partnerships is one way that we're going to actually make the change.
On the point of partnerships, when you knock on the doors in Northeast St. Andrew, and even when you get inside those gated communities, of which there are many, let's admit that, what are the constituents saying to you?
Oh, a lot of things, a lot of things. There are those who say that it's the first time they've seen, you know, a candidate of any party walking and knocking on their doors. Because I've been walking and knocking, it's not just since the election was announced.
Yes.
I have been walking for about a year and a half, yeah, from early last year, because I decided to represent the seat just after the local government election.
Yes.
And so people are saying that they're glad to see a representative who is happy to walk and talk to people. I love meeting people, hearing their needs, and looking at how we can make the change. People recognize that just having an ear that listens to the concerns, that the fact that I want to be there, the fact that I have been literally walking for months and knocking on every single gate, meeting and talking to people, that connects. And that connection, people are attracted to it, yeah? And if you have looked at my manifesto, I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but I published a 12-page manifesto that speaks to some of the things that we're going to be doing under the new PNP administration that I will be doing in St. Andrew Northeastern. In the manifesto, I speak to young people, I speak to children, I speak to youth, I speak to senior citizens, I speak to residents, and I also speak to business people, because we have a lot of business people. And I'm not talking just big business, micro businesses as well, because the shop on the corner is a business. And people who operate any type of business, they want their business to grow. And so to know that you have access to mentorship, to funding, to financial literacy, to whatever it takes to make you grow. That's what people want to hear.
Tell me this though. In a constituency like the one you're hoping to represent in the House of Representatives, very educated people, people who you can't go to them about by vote. They look at you with derision because they're not of that nature.
Right.
These people, cycle after cycle, have given Delroy Chuck a strong mandate, which suggests that, you know, they're at least very comfortable with what he's doing, even if they want a bit more. You know, what is it that has to happen, you believe, or is happening now, you probably tell me, that will make them say, I wonder if someone else can do even better than he has done over time?
You used some words just now about a strong mandate, and that's the myth. He does not have a strong mandate. The constituency has over 22,000 voters. 5,000 people vote for him. So what happened to the other 14,000? Of that, yes, 3,000 or so vote for the PNP, and there are many who just don't vote. My campaign, my speaking with people, it's those apathetic voters. Those are some of my biggest supporters, seriously, because of them saying, I never see somebody come to my yard ever yet, I never even see somebody put out a manifesto for a constituency. They haven't seen that. Nobody has told them what the plans are that include them. And in my manifesto, I've spoken to each segment of the constituency. So those are the people who are saying, finally, finally, something to vote for.
I look in pockets of the constituency. Oh, well, my producer says break. I'm going to come back with this afterwards. This is Lead Story, the Friday edition, speaking with Stacy Knight, seeking the mandate of the voters in Northeast St. Andrew. She says change wouldn't be a bad thing to essay in on September 3. Six times Delroy Chuck has asked the people for a mandate in Northeast St. Andrew, and the 6 times they've given it to him. Stacy Knight says, well, come September 3, the night when the votes are counted, there'll be a different leader in the constituency at the MP level, and she says it's going to be her. I'm talking with her this evening. When I look at pockets in Northeast St. Andrew, I'm talking about, like, to go with your line that there are areas where people are struggling. Castle Heights, for one, which is close to Barbican Square, people would know. And then, of course, Grandspin, the broad Grandspin area. These are spaces in which the political hacks will tell you that there are a lot of votes in there. People are very active one way or the other in those constituencies. And they seem to enjoy the status quo, Stacy Knight. What is it that you have been telling those people to cause them, you believe, to make that change on September 3?
You know, is what they are telling me.
Or what are they telling you?
What they are telling me is that year after year or term after term, they're voting and they don't really see what they're voting for. Yeah? Because you talk about buying votes. I don't know if that's what's happening, but they talk about getting something only every 5 years. Yeah? And whether it's a black tank or bread, whatever it is, it can't last 5 years. And so they're telling me that they want more. They say, Ms. Knight, what you going to do different? And I talk to them about the education, about the opportunities for young people, about giving young people not just jobs, but mentorship to help them to keep the jobs. You understand? Because we have young people who don't have the parenting that can really allow them to use their opportunities to get somewhere in life.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Somebody diss them and them can't bother with that again, because they need strong mentorship, somebody they can lean on, somebody they can talk to. I'm not going to be the person, I'm not everybody's auntie,
right.
But we partner with people. There are lots of successful business people in the constituency and outside who we can draw on to have, you know, sessions, regular sessions, not a one time, where people can know that when they face a problem, there's somebody that can help them to get to the next level.
The issue of the tough communities alongside ones that are the affluent communities. So we expect that land titling should be in order. And you spoke about land housing earlier.
Yes.
Land titling has been foremost, a major part of the PNP's push, the manifesto, the stump speeches, land titling, even the government. But that is big on the PNP side.
Yes.
There are several big yards, call them tenements, in the constituency.
Yes.
Is this a serious problem that you are telling your constituents that you will address, give them something to own, something they can take to the bank for a loan, something they can use to collateralize a car or starting up a business? Is that something that you're foremost on?
Absolutely. And as an attorney myself, I can assess the situation and see the possible path to getting a title. The situation is not the same for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah? Some of these big yards is really intergenerational land. And so it's owned by somebody's great-grandma who is deceased.
And who never left the paperwork.
And who didn't leave any paperwork. But I've unraveled many of those as an attorney, yes? And so we can get there. We know that some of these lands that are occupied are not big yards, but sometimes it's land that's being adversely possessed, meaning that the persons who live on the land don't claim any ownership to it being betrothed or given to them, but they just have occupied the land adversely. And the law of adverse possession, it works. It's a real thing. Adverse possession, squatting is adverse possession.
I was waiting on you to say the S word.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's not a bad word. It's not. It's a real word. It's a legal term of art, squatting, and it's not illegal. Trespassing is illegal. Squatting is not. The difference is that when you go onto somebody's land, if the person identifies the land as theirs, and tell you to leave the land, then you're a trespasser if you remain. If nobody tells you to leave the land, then what you're doing is adversely possessing the land. And the law on adverse possession is an interesting law. It really comes from the fact that in this world there are scarce resources. Land is a scarce resource. We didn't make up that law in Jamaica. It's coming from the UK, from some centuries ago, 1500, 14, way, way back. And what it says is that if people own land and are not utilizing it, are not putting it to any use at all, they're not there, they're not occupying it, and they have left it up, and somebody else comes to occupy the land and is using that land for housing, for farming, for commercial business, then that land is being put to good use, and the nation needs land to be put to good use. And so you get a certain amount of time. If you leave up your land 12 years and somebody else has been there, then that person can possess it and can get a title, a legal title to it.
Yeah.
I want to caution one little thing though. There is a lot of fraud happening in Jamaica now, where people are abusing the law on adverse possession. Where people haven't been occupying the land for 12 years. They drive around and they see unoccupied land, and they put in fake affidavits that say that they are occupying the land, and then they get a title to it. I'm not for that, and I will not ever support any kind of fraud or dishonesty.
She's made that clear. Here's the thing. How difficult is it though for you to, well, you've been doing it, you say, since 2024, February, when the local government elections ended. The messaging, because I'm saying, given, of course, the makeup of the constituency you're looking to represent, I can call it your constituency, not a problem.
Yeah, man, I live there, it's mine.
There you go. You have people who will say to you, Miss Stacy, my problem is with the stray dogs in my community, so I can't walk and get my little exercise, and I can't bring my granddaughter with me because I'm afraid of them. That's one concern. In another side, they'll say, boy, Miss, like water more into my house, you know, or boy, you know, more the road is no good. I'm like a taxi, and by the time I go out on the main and the front end, this, that. So these different things in the same constituency. How then do you craft an overall message? I know you speak to different people individually, but that overall message that you are pushing to all of the various different groups within Northeast St. Andrew.
Yeah, well, one of the terms that I've used is to have secure, connected communities. Everybody needs security, and so that speaks to everyone. Whether it's a stray dog that you're afraid of, or a gunman, or whatever it is, we need secure, connected communities. Connected because the road from your house connects to the road to my house.
That's right.
Yeah? Whether we live in the same neighborhood or of the same income level. And so we really need to promote that every community is livable. Yeah? And so whether it's low income or not, you shouldn't have stray dogs that make children can't walk on the street. Whether it's low income, high income, middle income, you deserve water. You deserve to have access to electricity. You deserve clean, decent surroundings. And it is the state's responsibility to ensure that as far as possible.
Yeah, we are almost at the end, so I have to ask, you mentioned it earlier. When you look at the voters' roll in Northeast St. Andrew, many people.
Yeah, man.
When you look at those who actually dip their finger in the ink, relatively few people.
Yes.
What's your message to those who cycle after cycle sit out the process and say, sure, can't bother?
Well, as I said, those are some of my biggest supporters. And what I say to them is what they have said to me. Finally, something to vote for, someone to vote for. Because I am that person who will listen to you and who will use your plans and your ideas to make the change. I will remain accountable. Every year, I will report on how the money that government gives me to spend on your behalf is spent. In fact, before I spend it, I'll consult you to ask you how you want us to spend it, and we will prioritize.